The Magic Mill and the Two Brothers. Long ago, in a quiet countryside village surrounded by green fields and winding dirt roads, there lived two brothers. They were born to the same parents, raised under the same roof, yet their lives turned out completely different. The elder brother was named Richard. He was the richest man in the entire region. He owned wide farmlands, tall stone houses, and heavy wooden chests filled with gold coins. Servants worked day and night to please him. But despite his wealth, Richard's heart was empty. He was proud, greedy, and cold toward others. The younger brother was named Ethan. He lived in a small wooden cottage at the edge of the village. The roof leaked when it rained, and the fireplace barely stayed warm in winter. Ethan lived with his wife Anna and their two young children. They often struggled to buy food. But Ethan had something far more valuable than money: kindness. Every morning before sunrise, Ethan would wake up, pull on his worn boots, and go out searching for work. Sometimes he chopped firewood, sometimes helped farmers harvest crops, and sometimes carried heavy goods for merchants. Whatever little money he earned, he brought home with gratitude. Even in poverty, Ethan never complained. He always told his children, "If your heart is rich with goodness, you are never truly poor." The day hunger knocked. One terrible summer, a drought struck the land. The rain stopped falling, crops dried up, jobs disappeared. Food became expensive. For several days, Ethan could not find work. Their small supply of flour and vegetables slowly vanished. One evening, Anna looked at the empty kitchen shelf and whispered with trembling lips, "Ethan, we have nothing left." The children sat quietly, holding their stomachs, too weak even to cry. Ethan felt his chest tighten with pain. He hugged his family and promised, "I will not let you sleep hungry. I will find help." With heavy steps and a wounded heart, Ethan decided to visit his wealthy brother Richard. The cold welcome. Richard lived in a grand house with iron gates and marble floors. Guards stood at the entrance. When Ethan arrived, dusty and tired, servants stared at him with disgust. Ethan finally stood before his brother and said politely, "Brother, my children have not eaten today. Please help me with a little food." Richard leaned back in his chair and laughed softly. "So you've come begging again," he said. "Why don't you work harder instead of troubling me?" Ethan lowered his head. "I work every day, but the drought has taken everything. I am only asking enough to survive." Richard rolled his eyes. "I don't like wasting my resources, but fine, take this and leave." He ordered a servant to hand Ethan a small sack of flour and a few pieces of bread. Ethan thanked him sincerely, even though his heart felt broken by his brother's cruelty. He turned around and walked home quietly. The stranger on the road. As Ethan walked through the forest path toward his cottage, he noticed an old man sitting beside the road. The man looked weak and pale. His clothes were torn and his lips were dry. The old man spoke softly, "Son, I have not eaten in 2 days. Could you spare me a little food?" Ethan stopped. He looked at the small sack in his hands, the only food his family had. For a moment he hesitated. Then he remembered his children's words about kindness. Without another thought, Ethan opened the sack and gave half of the food to the stranger. "Please eat," Ethan said gently. "No one deserves to starve." Tears filled the old man's eyes. His weak body suddenly straightened. His voice became strong and warm. "You have passed the test of the heart," the man said. From under his cloak, he pulled out a small wooden object, an old hand mill.
The gift of the magic mill. "This is not an ordinary mill," the old man said. "It is magical." Ethan stared in disbelief. The stranger continued, "If you say, 'Mill, begin,' it will produce whatever food you ask for. If you say, 'Mill, stop,' it will immediately halt. But remember this, never use it for greed and never give it to a selfish soul." Before Ethan could ask another question, the old man slowly faded away into the evening mist. Ethan stood frozen. Was this real, or just another illusion? Holding the mill tightly, Ethan hurried home. The first miracle. Inside his cottage, Anna looked worried. Ethan placed the small mill on the wooden table. With nervous hands, he whispered, "Mill, begin. Please produce wheat flour." Suddenly, the mill started spinning by itself. Soft white flour poured out like snow. Anna gasped. The children screamed with joy. Ethan quickly said, "Mill, stop." The mill froze instantly. Their home was filled with food for the first time in months. That night, the family ate warm bread and soup. For the first time in weeks, they slept peacefully. A kind man's wealth. Ethan used the magic mill wisely. He never asked for gold or luxury. He only produced enough food to live comfortably. Soon, neighbors who were suffering from hunger came to him. Ethan never turned anyone away. He gave bread to widows. He fed hungry children. He helped sick villagers. People began calling him the man with the golden heart. Slowly, Ethan's family life improved. They repaired their roof, bought warm blankets, and lived with dignity, not greed. The fire of jealousy. When Richard heard about his younger brother's sudden prosperity, jealousy burned inside. "How can a poor fool become successful while I remain the same?" Richard thought angrily. He visited Ethan, pretending to be kind. "Brother, you look very successful these days," Richard said with fake smiles. "Tell me your secret." Ethan hesitated, but finally revealed the magic mill's power, forgetting to explain the stopping command clearly. That night, while Ethan's family slept, Richard sneaked into the cottage and stole the mill. Greed unleashed. Back in his mansion, Richard placed the mill on the floor. With excitement, he shouted, "Mill, begin! Produce gold coins!" The mill began spinning wildly. Gold coins poured out endlessly. Richard laughed loudly. "More! Diamonds! Jewelry!" The room filled with treasure. But soon the piles became too high. The doors were blocked. The windows shattered. Richard panicked. "Stop! Stop!" he screamed. Nothing happened. He didn't know the correct command. The final disaster. In fear, Richard carried the mill onto a ship and sailed into the open sea, hoping to throw it away. In desperation, he shouted, "Mill, produce salt!" The mill obeyed. Salt poured endlessly. The ship grew heavy. Water entered. The ship sank. Richard disappeared into the deep ocean. The mill fell to the ocean floor, still spinning. And that is why even today the sea is salty. Peace and wisdom. Ethan was heartbroken when he learned about his brother's fate, but he understood the truth. Greed destroys. Kindness creates true wealth. Power without wisdom is dangerous. A good heart is the greatest treasure. Moral of the story: greed leads to destruction. Kindness creates true wealth. Power without wisdom is dangerous. A good heart is the greatest treasure.